This is a video about the irregular preterite tense verbs, specifically verbs that end in GAR, CAR, or ZAR that I will refer to as GAR, CAR, ZAR verbs. First, let's talk. Remember, the preterite is the past tense. It's used to refer to completed actions in the past. So some examples in English would be I ran, he ate, we talked, they cooked, any activities that are completed in the past. We talked about the regular preterite tense verb endings. We talked about how there's different ER-IR verb endings versus AR verb endings. And there's a different video on that if you need to review those things. What we're going to be using today with GAR, CAR, ZAR verbs is just the AR verb endings, but not the yo form. I grayed out the yo form because that's where our irregular part is going to come in. Everything else follows our typical regular preterite tense AR verb patterns. So let's look at some examples first on how this works. So GAR, CAR, ZAR verbs. Like I said, here over on the right is the chart that we'll be using for our GAR, CAR, ZAR verbs. And let me explain what these are. Verbs that end in GAR, CAR, or ZAR undergo the following changes only in the yo form of a preterite tense. That's why I have the yo form here grayed out, because the yo form is the exception. And here is what happens in the yo form right here. If the verb ends in GAR, then that GAR turns into GUE with an accent mark. So essentially the G is changing to GU. If the verb ends in CAR, then the new ending will be QUE with an accent mark, which is in the yo form only. So that's K. And if the verb ends in ZAR, then the yo form, it would change into CE with an accent mark. So that Z is changing to a C. So it's pronounced se. All other conjugations of these verbs follow the regular pattern on the right. So this part does not change. It's only the yo form that changes to ye, ke, se, if it's GAR, CAR, or ZAR. Here are some common GAR, CAR, and ZAR verbs. There are others. It's actually quite a long list of verbs that are GAR, CAR, ZAR verbs. But these are some that might be the most helpful. And you can know that if you find any verb in Spanish that ends in GAR, CAR, or ZAR, even if it's not on this list, it follows these new rules. So just keep your eyes out for them. And here's a couple of the most common ones. Jugar means to play. Entregar, to turn in. Pagar, to pay. Those are all GAR verbs. Sacar, to take. We've used the verb sacar to talk about sacar la basura, to take out the trash, or sacar una radiografía, to take a x-ray. Tocar is to play, as in to play an instrument, not to play a sport. And buscar is to look for. All of them end in CAR. Then we have ZAR verbs, such as empezar, to begin, cruzar, to cross, almorzar, to eat lunch, organizar, to organize. I'm going to pronounce those one more time because I want to make sure you guys hear how those words are pronounced. In English, the letter Z is kind of like a kind of aggressive sound. Z, it's this hard Z sound. But in Spanish, it's much softer. I'm not saying empezar, it's empezar. It's not cruzar, it's cruzar, almorzar, organizar. It actually sounds a lot more like an S in English than a Z. It's spelled with a Z, but it's that hard Z sound that we have in English does not exist. So empezar, cruzar, almorzar, organizar. Those are some examples. And now let's look at how the verb jugar is actually conjugated. So jugar, as we can see, as I highlighted here in green, jugar is a GAR verb, which means in the yo form that GAR is going to change to GUE. So the yo form of jugar is jugué, jugué, and that means I played. Jugué al voleibol, jugué al fútbol, jugué al béisbol. I played. Now, after yo form, we don't have the U anymore. It only, that GUE with an accent mark only shows up in the yo form. After that, it's conjugated normal. So my stem is JUG. I take off the AR, and for tú or vos, that would be jugaste. Tú jugaste, vos jugaste, that means you played. Then we have él, ella, ella form, so that's he, she, or they, singular, non-binary. Jugó, he played, she played, they played. Jugó al baloncesto, they played basketball. Usted jugó would be you played in a formal situation. You played fútbol, jugó fútbol, jugó al fútbol. Nosotros, nosotras, nosotres, all of those go with jugamos. I got that ending from over here. We played. Vosotros, vosotras, and vosotres jugastais. That ending came from right over here, and that would be the y'all played, only used in Spain. If you're not in Spain and you want to do a you plural, y'all type of comment, then that would be ustedes. Ustedes means y'all, and it's used outside of Spain. So that would be jugaron. Ustedes jugaron al fútbol. Y'all played soccer. Also, ellos, ellas, or ellas jugaron is they played. Ellos jugaron al fútbol. They played soccer. That is an example of all of the conjugations of the verb jugar. The only place there's an irregularity is in yo form. After that, you just conjugate things normally. Let's look at a CAR verb, car. So let's look at the verb sacar. We use sacar with an x-ray or taking the trash out, sacar una radiografía, sacar la basura. And in yo form, that CAR is what changes. So over here we see that yo form, CAR, changes to QUE with an accent mark. So the yo form of sacar is yo saqué, I took. So you could say yo saqué la basura, I took out the trash. Yo saqué una radiografía, I took an x-ray. Then after that, none of the other forms have QU. The C comes back in all of the other forms because it's only yo form that has that weird thing. So let's look at the tú, vos, you form. So that would be tú sacaste or vos sacaste. Él, ella, sacó. He took, she took, they took out the trash or took an x-ray. Usted sacó would be you took. If you're talking to someone in a formal way. Usted sacó la basura would be, did you take out the trash? Nosotros, nosotras, nosotres sacamos would be we took. Vosotros, vosotras, vosotres sacasteis, y'all took. Ellos, ellas, ellas sacaron, they took. Ellos sacaron la basura, they took out the trash. Ellos sacaron una radiografía, they took an x-ray. And then finally, ustedes sacaron, y'all took an x-ray. Ustedes sacaron una radiografía. And that, of course, is not in Spain. Now, let's look at a ZAR verb, such as almorzar. Almorzar means to eat lunch. We take off that ZAR for our yo form, and we look over here, and I see that ZAR should change to CE with an accent mark only in yo form. So yo almorcé is my yo form of almorzar. So yo almorcé would mean I ate lunch. It's in the past. and it's yo form. Then after that, if you look at all of these other forms, they don't have the C anymore. They go back to having the Z, which was the original spelling. So we have a Z, a Z, a Z, a Z, a Z, a Z, a Z. Now, remember that in Spanish, that Z is pronounced softly. It's not a hard, aggressive sound. So let's be careful with that as we pronounce these words. So the tu form and vos form, which is both you, informal, would be tú or vos almorzaste, you ate lunch. Él, ella, ella almorzó. Usted almorzó. Nosotros, nosotras, nosotres almorzamos would be we ate lunch. I took off the AR here and I added AMOS, which was my nosotros ending. Vosotros, vosotras, vosotres almorzasteis. I took off the AR and I added astais. Almorzasteis. Y'all ate. This is used in Spain. Ellos, ellas, or ellas almorzaron. The ARON comes from the ellos, ellas, ellas ending, aron. So that would be they ate lunch. And then finally we have ustedes almorzaron, which is y'all ate lunch. So note how I pronounced all of them. I had a very soft Z sound. Almorzaste, almorzó, almorzó, almorzamos, almorzasteis, almorzaron, almorzaron. And remember that whenever I have ellos /as/es, that's just showing that ellos means they, ellas also means they, and ellas means they. And it just depends on gender. So ellos would indicate that it's all male or male and female. Ellas means all female. Ellas could mean male and female, or it could mean non-binary. Identifying people are involved as well. So that is just to remember what all of those mean. Same thing with vosotras, vosotros, vosotras, vosotres would be the masculine, feminine, non-binary, or neutral option. Nosotros, nosotras, nosotres, same thing here, as well as él, ella, ella. Now, I'm going to move on and do some practice. So let's look at our AR endings on the left. We see those. And on the left, I also see my little notes about what happens to each of these verbs in the yo form. GAR changes to ge, CAR changes to ke, and ZAR changes to se. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, yo jugar al fútbol ayer. So first thing I want to notice is that it ends in GAR. So this is a GAR verb, and I notice that it's in yo form, which means GAR has to change to GUE. So my answer would be jugué. Yo jugué al fútbol ayer. Let's look at number 2. Mis amigos jugar al fútbol ayer. So again, I want to notice that this is a GAR verb, but this time I see that the subject is mis amigos, which means I no longer have to use the yo form. Instead, mis amigos means my friends. So I'm talking about multiple people. It's plural, and I'm talking about them. So I'm going to use the ellos, ellas, ellas form. My friends are really like they. They played soccer yesterday. So the ellos, ellas, ellas ending is aron. So my answer here is going to be jugaron. Mis amigos jugaron al fútbol ayer. Let's look at number 3. Yo tocar la guitarra ayer. I played the guitar yesterday. So this is a CAR verb. That should be the first thing I notice. And then I see that it's a yo form. So I'm automatically going to have to use the irregular form. CAR is going to change to QUE. So my answer is toqué. Yo toqué la guitarra ayer. Let's look at number 4. Jimena tocar la guitarra ayer. So now we're saying Jimena played the guitar yesterday. And again, I noticed this is a CAR verb, and the subject is Jimena. So that's not yo. So I'm not going to use the irregular version. Jimena is a girl. We're talking about her. So, well, she's a person. It's a stereotypically feminine name, but I guess that wouldn't necessarily mean she has to be a girl. So Jimena is the person. That's going to be ella form because it's singular and we're talking about this person. So third person singular. So it's going to have this form of tocar. It's going to have to end in O, but we don't have to do the thing where we change CAR because it's not yo form. So it's just going to be tocó with a C. Tocó. Number 5. Yo organizar el cuarto ayer. I organized the room yesterday. So this, we should notice, is a ZAR verb. And it's in yo form. So that ZAR is going to change to CE with an accent mark. So that is organicé. Yo organicé el cuarto ayer. Let's look at number 6. ¿Tú organizar el cuarto ayer? Did you organize the room yesterday? So we notice it's a ZAR verb, and now my subject is tú. So I'm going to have to use aste as my ending. And since it's not yo form, I'm going to keep the Z. I don't have to get rid of it this time. So that would be organizaste. Organizaste. Number 7. Yo sacar la radiografía ayer. I took the x-ray yesterday. So this is a CAR verb. We see that. And it's in yo form. So we see that for a CAR verb, our yo form ending is QUE. So that means that my answer would be saqué. Yo saqué la radiografía ayer. And last one, number 8, we have the verb sacar again that ends in CAR. And this time my subject is el enfermero. That means the nurse. So I'm talking about the nurse. So this is third person singular, él, ella, or ella. Either way, the ending will be O with an accent mark. We're going to keep the C. So that would be sacó. El enfermero sacó la radiografía ayer. The nurse took the x-ray yesterday. So hopefully that practice helped. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And that is it for our GAR, CAR, ZAR, irregular preterite tense verbs.